So in this episode, we are all doing some of our favorite stories, some of them horror stories, and some of our good memories. So who wants to go first? Because I know there's a lot. We all have lots of experiences at Disney, and some of them have been downright terrible. So I'm very intrigued to see and listen to your guys' stories. Actually, you know what? Let's have Allie go first, since she's the guest on this episode.
Yes. So
Okay.
I also want to just do a quick little intro. This is Allie. We were best friends in college, and we both went to college together. We met in a photography class in which our professor couldn't stop mixing us up. So we dyed our hair the same color, and she's much shorter than me.
And I'm
she's
also
very
white,
Jewish.
by the way.
She's very Jewish and I'm very Mexican, but we wore matching hair and called each other twins. She's still labeled as twin in my phone.
Yep, and, labeled as twin in mine too.
Labeled as twin. We had the little twin emoji on there. Is it Armida my twin or is it just twin?
Yeah, it's Armida my twin.
Okay, because hold on, wait, because mine is Allie my twin. Where did it go? Oh, I pinned you. That's why I was like, where did it go? Okay, yeah. It's also Allie my twin.
Yep, there it is.
So I think we've been friends for 4 years, 5 years.
It must be 5 because 6 years ago college. We were freshmen and it was sophomore year.
Oh my god! Don't age me like this. And when I lived out there in California, we were going to Disney all the time, going to Burbank, and I'm very excited to be moving back there eventually, and so we can continue our misadventures all the time. We actually went to Disneyland one time and wore matching shirts by accident.
Yes, we
wore
did.
The same.
Nice.
We did.
So Allie was in there. That at all? I don't even know if we
remember.
Took a picture wearing our matching shirts.
Oh, it was so funny. But yeah, Allie was a former Disney cast member, a part of the Disney College program 1 year before I did, and she worked. If you watched my episode, I mentioned that food and beverage was the one cast member role that I did not envy, and Allie did work food and beverage. We're going to hear some very interesting stories from her today.
So I worked food and beverage on Main Street.
Oh boy.
I worked at Jolly Holiday was my home base, and I also worked at Coke Corner and Gibson Girl Ice Cream Parlor.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So, I mean, I loved them all. Main Street was one of the best places to work, in my opinion. Of all of my friends who worked in different lands and stuff, we seemed to be the happiest, just in our jobs, and, our coworkers and our leads and stuff, just the vibe was there, I had friends working in foods in Frontierland and in Grizzly Peak, and we're hating their lives, but I was pretty happy. I had a generally good experience. I just, you work in retail and you have shitty people. I'm sorry, can I curse?
It's fine, you're good.
Yeah, you just have
use the R2D2 sound over there.
Come up to you and and do shitty things. So my first story, I was on cash register at Jolly, and a mother and her son came up to my register, ordered, they went through their entire order, and we had already checked out, and I think she had paid. Yeah, she had already paid, and I think all she got was an iced coffee. Yeah, she got an iced coffee for herself, nothing for her child. And he was probably I don't know, 9 or 10. And so they're standing there, and while I'm, doing her credit card, there's a warning label on the counter for BPA warnings that is mandatory by California law. Even if there isn't BPA in any of our plastic, we still have to say that there's a possibility that it's there. And so the kid says, "What's BPA?" And I'm not really paying attention to what he's saying. I'm focusing on getting this transaction. So I didn't really understand what he was talking about. And I was like, oh, well, BB-8 is a character in a different part of the park. I didn't understand what he said. I didn't hear it well enough. And then so he just goes no, BPA. And I didn't really know what it was. Like, I wasn't paying attention to the label on the counter. So I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry." And like he points at it and he goes, BPA. And I'm like, "Oh, well, it's a warning that we have to have by the state of California. Like, it's a possibility that there might be some chemicals in our plastic, but it's just there as a warning." And so the mother then starts going off on me. And is like, "So you're trying to kill my kid?" And I was like,
What?
"No, he didn't even order anything. All she got was a coffee for herself." So I was like, "No, like that's not the case at all. Like it's just a mandatory California warning." And she was like, "Oh, well, if it's like that, we'll go somewhere else." And I'm like, "It's the same warning in the entire park. So if you're gonna have a problem with it, like you just shouldn't be here then." Like, so she keeps going off on me and I'm like, "Look, like if you really do have a problem with it, I can just get you your money back and you can go." And she didn't want to like, be logical and like hear me out or anything. So she just kept yelling at me. And my uh girl at my cash register next to me was so sweet, and she started like butting in and trying to like defend me and help me out, and was like, "Lady, like we don't care if you have an issue with it. We just want to know if you want your money back so that you don't have to drink from this plastic coffee cup. Like if you have a problem, that's fine. You don't have to drink it. But we just want you to get your money back if you want it back, if you're not going to drink it." And then she just like, demanded the manager, did the whole thing, and eventually just like stormed out by the time the manager actually got there. And so then we just had this coffee sitting on the side for free. So we just gave it to somebody. And like my manager then took me like to the back and was like, "If you need a moment to like calm down, like if you want to go hang in e-fridge for a bit and decompress, like that's fine." So I did. And then I learned after that to basically just be like, you know, I don't know, like whatever will make them happy. If they, still want the coffee, let them have it. If they don't, what, like, there's really like nothing you can do in that situation that'll make anyone happy. So
Mhm.
It's
that
crazy
was
how
one.
like psychotic guests are.
I know.
And like they
Like,
get mad over so much stupid stuff. And
I
it's like,
know,
dude,
they
this
really
is an
do.
amusement
like
park. It's not like
it's an amusement park. There's like signs like that everywhere.
Mhm.
You're in the state of California. That's how it is
Right.
here. It doesn't mean that
Yeah.
there actually are chemicals that are going to kill you.
it's
It's
like
just
going on
something
an
we have to.
attraction as like a cancer patient or like person with like health problems and having a heart attack on the ride and then blaming the people for like running the attraction. It's like you could have just read the sign. It's
Mhm.
Exactly.
everywhere. Like, oh my gosh.
It's so funny to me that it was like her kid that like started carrying out at me first, and he didn't even order anything, so it wouldn't have affected him anyway. It was just such a weird experience. And they were getting so loud, and like all the people in the queue behind them were like staring, and it was getting to the point where I just like wanted them to leave and like end the confrontation. I was
Yeah.
just done.
All right, Armida.
Oh boy. Now I had a backstage role. And for people who have no idea what I'm talking about, I was never actually on the guest facing side of Disneyland. I worked entirely behind the scenes because, with my job, you probably didn't want to see the things that I would see. It would ruin the magic very quickly. So I personally didn't have that many, like, even then I would like roll out some stuff like Goofy needs new shoes. Okay, I'd get like a bin and like put a towel over it and then just roll it on over to Goofy. And that was my limited interaction on stage. However, when I was off duty, that's when the interesting stuff happened. And I don't have a lot of like horror stories from cast member from like the characters and stuff that I hear about, but there was one in particular that stood out to me. It was on Main Street. It was Halloween, and I was with my roommate, and we were having our own little Disney day together. And she heard about like something fancy that was going to be in the store. So I said, go ahead, go sit. I will go into the store. I'll sit here. Goofy's over here. I prepped that like outfit for him, so it'll be nice to see it. So I sat there and I just watched Goofy interact with people. And it probably lasted about a good 2 minutes before the cast member was like, okay, we're cutting the line here. Then Goofy has to go, and he'll be back in like 5 minutes. Now, when they say 5 minutes, they mean that, because there are some safety regulations that they have to follow to make sure that Goofy stays safe and doesn't overheat and pass out. So when they say 5 minutes, they mean 5 minutes. So he is wrapping up his interactions. I'm sitting there, I'm watching him. I'm like, look at my son go. I'm so proud of him. And this woman walks in from under the right tunnel under the train. And she looks, the second she like leaves the tunnel, she doesn't look at Main Street. She's not looking at the decoration. She looks right at Goofy. And her face just becomes filled with like panic and anxiety. And she has a kid in a stroller, about 4 or 5 years old. She picks her kid out of the stroller, stands him up, and she goes, look, there's Goofy. And they start bolting it over to the line. Now, of course, the cast member, because we don't want Goofy to pass out from heat exhaustion, says, hey, Goofy will be back in 5 minutes. If you want to hang out here, you're more than welcome to. You'll be first in line when he comes back, and your kid will get to meet Goofy. And she's like, but he's right there. Why can't we just meet him? And the cast member says, well, I'm sorry, Goofy has to take a break, and then he'll be right back. Because like, what else can you say in that moment?
Right.
You can't say much. So he's like, yeah, no, it'll be fine. It'll be a break. He has to take a break, and he'll be back. And she says, but he's right there. Why can't we just meet him? And she goes, and he's trying to stop her as best as he can without touching her. But she decides, like, what's this little kid gonna do? I'm a full-grown woman. So she tries to step to him and like push him out of the way. And this cast member goes to work and starts like shoving this woman away. And she starts, these two are in a wrestling match, like in a full-blown like physical confrontation. The kid is just watching. And she looks down at him and she goes, go, this is your chance. And the kid just like slowly waddles up to Goofy and stops and just looks at him. And Goofy, he's done. What's he supposed to do? He just looks down at him, and they just stare at each other until the next character host comes out and escorts Goofy off stage. And I can't. It was always Goofy and the moms. It was always Goofy and the moms, and I'll never understand. I had someone who was friends with Goofy in Dinoland and Animal Kingdom, and he can confirm moms have this thing for Goofy that I will never understand, and I probably don't want to understand on Maine. Like, I'm uncomfortable. Like, it's always these moms that have this really weird like Goofy thing.
Interesting.
So, yeah, the kid was like, could not care less. He was just like, hey.
That's always
And
how
Goofy
it
was
is.
like, hey.
Like, the
Yeah.
parents are always the ones who care more about, getting some character interaction or a meet and greet with, their kid. The kid never cares, especially if they're that young. They're like 3, 4, 5.
Oh,
like,
they absolutely don't care. No,
they don't.
They're gonna remember one interaction. And as someone who was a kid who met the characters, I remember one interaction when I was a child. And from like before 10 years old, like I can tell you every character interaction I had, I don't remember. So it's fine. Like, parents, breathe. It'll be okay. It'll be fine.
The kid was like, my mom told me to be here, so
Yeah, he was like, hey. He was like, so like, I was like, oh my god, this is hilarious.
It's literally 5 minutes. Like, you could go hang out in like Lincoln for 5 minutes,
or go get a coffee,
or like go get a coffee, or go to like walk through Disneyana. Like, there's literally so many things you could do for
so
5
many
minutes
things
if you really want to be there when he comes back. You could go to the firehouse.
So
like,
nice.
A kid would enjoy the firehouse. So,
or meet another character, because there were like 5 out there at the time.
Oh yeah, because they're like stationed all over the place.
Yeah, back in the day, they were all over that front part of Main Street. So you could, there were literally so many options. But moms and their Goofy thing, I guess.
That should be the title of this episode: Moms and their Goofy thing.
Oh my gosh.
So if you have a Goofy thing, please let us know, because I'm very intrigued.
I would love to like. I just want to talk. I don't, but I would. I just want to talk. Like,
Imagine the person in the story messages or reaches out.
Oh my. She like listens to the episode. Oh
oh my
geez.
gosh,
That'd
yeah.
be crazy.
Like that fight definitely was not as bad as like the Toontown tussle or like the
Let's
fairy
go.
incident that
We're gonna get into that.
The
Um,
Toontown tussle.
No, I was there for the Toontown tussle. I got to see
Get
it
That's a good
live
segue.
action.
You were
That's a
not
g-
there.
I
You know
was
what?
there.
That's a good
Oh my
segue.
God.
Why
I
don't
am
you tell that
100%
story?
not lying. I was there.
Wait, can that be your story? Can you tell
That's what
it?
I'm telling right now.
Okay, go ahead. Go tell your
Good
story. That's a good
segue.
segue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have two stories, but this one is more exciting because, fights in Disneyland don't really happen often. So, yeah, no, I was literally getting off of Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin with one of my friends, and there was this really, really loud bang, and we had no idea what it was. It sounded like one of the other attractions had gone down for some reason. So we walked out of the attraction, and all these people were like circling this family, and they were screaming like really, really, really loudly. They had shut everything in Toontown completely down, so it was dead quiet. So all you could see and all you could hear was this fight going on. So it was literally, it looked like a middle school like fighting match. Like everyone was circling this family, and from my point of view, I saw the guy hit her directly in the face, and she completely like. I'm surprised. I don't know if she passed out, but she hit the ground really, really, really hard. And the entire family was like screaming, and it was a lot. There was literally like 15 to 20 security guards that came into the area and shut down all of Toontown, so no one could come and no one could leave. So we were trapped inside Toontown with this huge fighting match going on, and like all the security guards rushed this one guy. I don't know if it was in the video or not, but they all circled this one dude. He tried fighting one of the security guards, and he got tased. The security guard attacked the guy, um, and basically pinned him to the ground. Um, and they shut down Toontown for the rest of the day. It
Wow.
was insane. It was one of the craziest things that I've ever witnessed at a Disney park.
Mhm.
And I probably never will again just because of the severity of the situation. Um, and now I just find it hilarious. Like whenever I go there, I'm just like, oh, this is where it happened, right here at this one block.
Toontown.
The
You're gonna
Toontown
take me to
Tussle
Toon-
2019.
You're gonna take me there, and we're gonna stand right there, and you're like, "This is where the Toontown tussle was." I'm calling it. You're gonna.
It
do
was insane. I was not expecting to be able to see it, and to say that I was there when that huge fight happened is pretty crazy. And actually,
Yeah.
I was watching one of the videos, and you can see me in the background, like me freaking out at the situation. It was really cool.
Please send
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
love to see
I'll
it.
send
or
the video.
upload it at the end of
I'm not uploading that. No, I
that
can't.
series.
I can't
No.
show
Fair.
footage of this, but yeah, no one likes fighting, especially at
Yeah.
Disneyland. It's supposed to be a place of, happiness for children and like people who want to go and have a good time, not witness like people fighting. That's more of a Six Flags thing. The Disneyland,
Yeah, that's a-
isn't.
Yeah,
That's a
Six Flags
universal
thing.
thing. We don't need that here.
No.
But yeah, it was.
I
it
don't
was
think
pretty
there
great.
was a worse. There wasn't any fight worse than that, right? Like
I
the
don't think
fairy
so.
wasn't
Not
even
that I
bad.
can think
Yeah.
of.
Not that I know of.
Like that was probably the
Um,
worst it's ever gotten.
I just want to know like what caused the fight and what made it get that bad.
There was
that
like
you
a
would fight
lawsuit
like that
over
There
at
was
it.
an
Disney Park.
argument that they were having. I don't really exactly know what it was about. But it was just a disagreement between the wife and her husband. It wasn't like a
Mhm.
huge thing. It was like a marriage thing, from
Wow.
what I understood
Wow.
or what I know of.
Yeah.
Yeah. It had nothing to do with like the parks or the attractions or
They
wait
were just
times
having a
or
separate
whatever. They just
disagreement
had some
altogether.
civil disagreement that
Mhm.
ended in a really, really negative thing. So don't really
Yeah.
know. All right, Troy,
That's
what was
wild.
yours?
Wow. Okay, so mine aren't that
Yeah, you gonna top
great.
that? No, I'm just kidding.
No, never.
Let's get something a little bit more lighthearted after that.
I don't know. I feel like I should do like a good memory now, but I literally can't top that. So I guess I'll just go for it anyways. So
Yeah.
basically, actually, ironically, it happened at Roger Rabbit as well. But
Dude,
when
it's
I was
cursed. So much bad stuff happens there.
literally,
Toontown is crazy.
literally, but so I went to Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin, right? And I was with my parents and I got seated like because there's two like ride vehicles, two
Yeah.
cabs. So my parents went the first one and I was in the second one. And like I don't know what happened, but like this strange like this girl, maybe a little bit younger than me, sat down next to me too. And I was like, what's going on? I was like, do I have to like ride with her? Because if so, like I'm not really gonna enjoy the ride. I'm just gonna be like, who are you? But she was really nice. She was like, do you like to spin? Because I like to spin. I was like, honestly, yeah, me too. And then the cast member comes up and she's like, do you guys know each other? And we're like, no. And so she left. That's it. That's my story.
That's
That's it.
cute. Yeah.
So you didn't end up riding together?
No, thank goodness, but also no offense to her, but thank goodness I
Yeah.
didn't. But
So, do you guys want to do a lighthearted one this time or one more
Yeah,
negative one?
let's
Because I know
let's
you
balance
guys are
it.
like,
it
I know
was
you
like
have a lot of
very
horror
much,
stories.
Yeah, let's
You
Let's
wanna
do
balance
one.
it?
let's do
Okay,
let's do a
yeah.
lighthearted one.
yeah.
All right,
Good
Allie,
one.
go for it.
Oh, me? Okay. So, this one, so I was working at Gibson Girl and I had just taken a class um earlier that semester in ASL in sign language. So, I was working at Gibson and this guy comes up to my register and like I don't have like a pin or anything, like I'm not that advanced. Um
Mhm.
so he comes up to my register and starts signing to me in like very basic signs of what he wants and I could understand it. So he like all he wanted a Dalmatian Firehouse Sunday. So he just said firehouse. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, you want a Firehouse Sunday. And like the fact that he understood me and like I said, I understand, he got so excited, his like face
Aw.
lit up. And so, you know, I put it in my you know, in my register and I asked him if he wanted anything else and he said no. And then I asked him for his name. So he said Hart Man. And so I wrote Hartman in his you know, for his name and then you know, got him to pay and everything. And then you know, I just told him to like stand to the side so that like when his was ready, since I couldn't yell it to him, I would just like wave him down and give it to him and he was so happy and just like probably made his day that like one person could understand him.
That's awesome.
And then so he left and then one of my coworkers came up to me and was like, how did you do that? That was amazing. That was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And I was like, well, you know, I took a class for one semester and it was like really fresh in my mind because like this was, I think it was the summer at that point. And so like during like the spring semester, I took that class and then like the summer. So I had like just finished it. And so yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
always like
like
that one
that.
just like, you know, it brightens my day when I think
Yeah,
about
no,
that.
that's great.
Just
That's
like,
so
you know,
sweet.
seeing him get like so excited, like that made me really happy. So,
Yeah, yeah.
That made me happy just hearing it.
oh,
Hi, Armida.
Okay. So I think something that will forever stick with me about my working in Disney experience was my training. Um and Allie will also attest to this. On your second day of training, of orientation before you start actually training in your area. I don't know what they called it for you. They called it Step Into the Magic for me. What did they call it for you? Was it the same thing?
maybe like
Yeah.
specifically the second day.
Like
Probably.
not traditions, but the second day.
Probably. I don't
Yeah.
remember. It's been so long, but
Yeah.
probably something like
But
that.
it was Step Into the Magic for me. And basically that's like 8 hours of sitting in a conference room with different cast members and like going through like how to bring the Disney magic to guests on a personal level. So they do like the tiers of like exceeding expectations. We break down the 4 keys, we're now 5 keys. And then there's a bit where we actually have to go out into the parks and interact with guests and like put that training to use. Now
That's
that was
cool.
like everybody's least favorite thing because it's like, oh, you mean we have to actually like be social? Like everyone dreaded it and they thought we were going to be terrible at it. But I was taken to right in front of Splash Mountain for
Oh,
my
Critter
thing.
Country is beautiful. Oh my
I
gosh.
was taken to my area that I was supposed to interact was in Critter Country. And I was telling because I had like, they suggested like partnering up with people. And the girl that I had chosen was friends with Mickey. So I figured like, I just let her do it because she needs it more than I do. I don't interact with guests. So I'll just like let her do it. And she was so surprised at how naturally I was able to interact with these kids. And she like, I thought it was like surprisingly easy for me. She was shocked. And like we had this interaction with this little kid and we gave him a Brer Rabbit plushie to hold. And it was like really
Aw.
cute. It was really stinking cute. And I thought like, oh, that was fun. Like I won't have to do that again, but that was fun. And then about a couple days later, I met up with my niece in my baby cousin in downtown Disney because she was doing princess breakfast. And my baby cousin is very when I first met her when she was younger, she was very difficult to please. I was trying to interact with her and she would scream at me and I felt terrible. I was like, I don't know how to get this kid on my side. So she goes to princess breakfast and my aunt tells her, like, we're going to see your cousin Armida. And she's like, which cousin is that? And she says, the one who lives here. And that may have been a point in my favor because she was like, okay, let's go meet her. So I met her. Well, she had met me before, but she didn't remember me. So we went to the Lego store together. And something that kids like this immediately captures kids every single time. What you have to do is you have to get down to their level. So like princesses will like kneel or squat next to kids all the time, and it immediately makes their day. Like it's kid catnip. The second you kneel down, they're like, okay, I'm with you. And they'll do whatever you want. It's ridiculous. So went to the Lego store and I was like looking at stuff with her and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And I squatted down next to her and she like hugged me
Aw.
and she was like showing me all the sets that she wanted. She was showing me like all the pretty things that she liked. She was telling me about her Legos at home. And the more that I was interacting with her, these other kids start walking up to me. And there's like,
Aw.
I'm surrounded by like 4 or 5 kids, and we're all just talking about Legos, and we're like putting our hand in the loose Legos, like the little bin there, and like building things together. And like that's why it's a kid catnip. It really is. You
That's
just
awesome.
kneel down next to them and they are putty in your hands. It was so cute. And to this day, it still works. I was in Boston in early September and I was Princess Jasmine. And these little girls, they were afraid to ask me for a picture. And so they asked one of my friends, they were like, can we get a picture with Princess Jasmine? And so they like I walked into them and they looked at me like I was like with the fear of God in their eyes. And I
Right.
knelt down next to them and I just hugged them and they like melted. It works every single time. So that's like something that like memories that I will always cherish, like the times that I've like had these kid interactions when I was there, because it was just that it just made their day and it was so special to me to watch them be happy like that. So
That's cool.
That's
it's
so
really nice.
sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so nice.
So mine, it's bittersweet. So I was there the last day before Disneyland shut down for COVID-19.
Oh
Um,
no.
yeah, so it was early in the day. And the announcement went above the speaker and was like, hey, we're shutting down. This is officially our last day before we go in for a few week closure. At that time, they just thought it would be like maybe a month at the most. They weren't planning for like a real long closure. And I was there the day before as well. And we ended the night with Phantasmic. And Phantasmic is my favorite thing. And it's always been super special to me since I was like really little. So obviously the night before I got to watch it from right in front of Haunted Mansion. There's like this one area that I always stay at because it's like the direct center of the show. But this night I didn't watch Phantasmic and I probably should have, but I'm kind of glad that I didn't. When Phantasmic started, I headed over to Critter Country. And I started riding Splash Mountain. And we got to the top, and it was towards the end of the show, right before Mickey, goes up and does the ending thing after he fights the dragon and after the boat goes. And from the top of Splash Mountain, we saw all the fireworks everywhere. And it's just one of those really, really cool things that I don't know, has just that is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And it being on my favorite attraction is just one of the coolest things that I'll ever remember. So it was really hard because it was the last day before it shut down, but it was a really, really special moment that I'll always have before COVID happened. So
Mhm.
it was really nice.
That's
That's so
nice.
nice.
Yeah.
Nothing
right,
beats
Troy.
Disney views.
Right.
All right, Troy.
Honestly.
I'm ready. I'm so ready for Troy's wholesome story. Like I've been waiting for this. Here we go.
Oh god, this is nothing special. Really, at least not compared to yours. But now I'm like, I feel like I need to think of something else. But
No, you're fine.
my
Oh, it's
It's gonna
okay.
be good because it's from you.
my greatest memory was, I mean, it was one particular trip that I took, but my friend and I both got like a bunch of our like group to get Disney passes for, I don't know how. First of all, I don't know how, but it was like me and like 5 6 other people who got passes, and every weekend or every Friday after school we would just be like, oh, we're gonna go. Like, I mean, if you can make it, you can make it. If not, that's fine. We always have next week. And it was like one of those things where it was uh like, oh, do you need a ride? Because I can give you a ride. Or like, oh, do you need a ride back? I can give you a ride back, and blah blah blah, what and whatnot. But this one trip was just so special, which was like one of our last ones. And like it was just like, to me, looking back on it now, I'm like, it was very much like a Disney commercial. Like, we were just there, like we didn't really like, we were there just to have a good time. Like, we went on rides, we hung out. It wasn't like the normal, like, let's go on the rides, one after the other, plan this and this. We kind of just like went with the flow, and it was just so chilled and relaxed that like it was it was one of my most favorite memories. Honestly, the best memory of that was getting 5 people to get passes. But like the feeling of just like no parents, doing whatever, or within the rules and whatnot. It was just so like nice. And also that's like what Walt wanted as well, was to just have you know a safe space for kids to just go and do whatever they want, again within reason. um and the parents to just like relax about it, and like
Yeah.
I think that was so special to me, to experience something like that. And I'm so lucky and grateful that I was able to experience something like that, because not everyone can. And so I'm just so grateful that, I was able to do that. That's it.
No, yeah, that's
Aw,
I
awesome.
love that.
I love
Thank
that. That's
you.
great. Yeah.
Thank you.
So do you guys want to do another story, or do you want to call it? It's up to you guys.
I
Well,
have
I know the Zoom is saying that like we have less than a minute.
Yeah.
I know, but we can always make another. It's up to you.
yeah, let's make another and then we can like do
Discuss
like one
more.
more story and yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Okay.